Hey, welcome to Deep in the Heart of Tailgate. This is Texas State's only student-run independent tailgate show where we talk about Texas State and Texas State athletics. My name is Jacob Rodriguez, the University Star's editor-in-chief. I'm joined with Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State sports press, and my sports editor, Claire Partain. In this episode of Deep in the Heart of Tailgate, we're going to be talking about Texas State and Nicholls State, the battle for the paddle. Coming back, San Marcos.
Again, this couldn't happen.
All right, so as I was saying, last week, Texas State did it. We all predicted it, so boom, in your face. Texas State Bobcats toppled the Georgia State Panthers 37-34 in triple overtime to put them 1-0 in conference play, and everybody lost their minds, including but not limited to the statisticians at Texas State Athletics, who immediately put us at the top of the West Division. In your face, Sun Belt Conference.
Number one, baby.
Number one.
Let's go.
We're moving on to play the number 9 team in the FCS. So
Nicholls State.
Yeah. Is this? I mean, we're 16-14 going into the Battle of the Paddle series. So I don't know.
Here's the thing, and we talked about this a little bit off air. The Battle of the Paddle, to me, as somebody that didn't grow up being a Texas State fan, somebody that wasn't here for Southwest Texas State, just being a current student, we're getting a lot of talk about this. I feel like it's for the people in the retirement home. I feel like it's for the people who watch games on TV. They don't watch this show on YouTube. They don't watch this show on Facebook. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. It's a game that I think that we're opening up as 3.5-point underdogs. Hugely disrespectful. And, you know, I think it should be a game that we should win. Like, fans should think we're going to win. Players should think they're going to win. Coaches should think they're going to win. Alumni should think we're going to win this game. To me, 3.5 points that the bookies are giving us is very disrespectful.
Well, I don't think fans at any point dictate a rivalry, right? It has to be the fact that, like, you know, the teams that are playing on the field dictate the rivalry. It has to be a back and forth series, and right now, you know, who cares? I don't care. I
would much rather prefer us to have a conference rivalry with ULM or Lafayette in the next couple weeks than care about Nicholls State. And I'm sorry, and we're gonna get into like the X's and O's and everything, but to me, the Battle of the Paddle, not that big of a deal. Sorry.
I still think it's important, though. I'm not like a huge Battle for the Paddle fan or anything like that, but I think it's important because we're riding off of this win from Georgia State, and nobody knows who Nicholls State is. So putting in a rivalry, a Battle of the Paddle, something.
Relatively.
Yeah, relative. I'm saying average Texas State fan, they're not going to know much about
your average barfly that comes to the game from the tailgate.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like someone who goes to the games, doesn't really know, isn't really backed up. They want to see some excitement, and it comes from the Georgia State game. We've got some confidence there, but it's also cool to have a rivalry.
And that one was kind of turning into a grudge match, especially towards the middle of the second quarter, heading into halftime. And then, I mean, we went triple overtime with this team, and we always play Georgia State competitively across the board. I would be hard-pressed to say that isn't more of a rivalry than this one.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. If they beat us, it's not a rivalry. If we beat them, we're winning the rivalry. That's how I'm seeing it.
And so, just a quick recap of the Georgia State game. Obviously, 27-24, seconds to spare at the end of the fourth quarter. Set hut, drop back, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Game's dead. Ball hits the floor. Fireworks go off at Bobcat Stadium. The team rushes the field. Liquid is spread all over the place. The fans lose their minds. Nobody can believe it. Bill Colhane makes the call, and the refs call it back.
Which is something that shouldn't happen in this game. It's
No.
something that I think that Coach Spavital and the rest of the athletic administration has kind of said, like, hey, you know, let's make sure that if this happens again, we have like the right camera angles and everything. The snap, in my opinion, didn't get off in time. The people in Birmingham, Alabama, the Sun Belt, I guess, you know, headquarters that was watching the game, they thought it got off in time. So not 1, not 2, but 3 overtimes.
Well, not only did Bill Colhane call the game, but so did Andrew Zimmel, to put it in context.
Honestly, yeah, no.
A roller coaster, it was.
It was a roller coaster, and we talked about a big win. Like I said, not a big religious guy, but there is a football god, and he was on our side to swat away that kick.
And my biggest takeaway from this team, I think, when you think of Texas State, you always think of, you know, hey, they're losers. You know, they don't have any fan support. That's been the
Kinda
name
rough.
of the game.
That was hard.
That's been the name of the game, though. And,
Yeah.
and that is hard to say, especially for me, because I've been one of those losers in the stands still. And so that's why I don't have a problem calling myself one. But, seconds to spare in the game. We think we won. We caught it back. Do we have the mental toughness to win that game again? Apparently we did. So we are a really mentally strong team.
Which,
we proved it.
Is something that if you would have told me 2 years ago when we had 0 interceptions for a season with a defensive head coach that we had any sort of mental toughness, the fact that we were able to not only, like you take the punch on the 1 second, take the punch in the first overtime and the second overtime and still come out winning, it's a really big deal. Let's talk about, I want to kind of move on to talk about the Nicholls State, what we expect from the offense and defense. And I know Claire had an offensive player.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of an offensive take here. So the offense for Nicholls State is pretty balanced, rushing and running. And we've got one running back powerhouse to look out for, and that's going to be Julian Gums. So the team overall, over 220 yards a game average. Julian Gums, 92 yards a game. He's had averages 5 yards per play, and he also has had 5 touchdowns. So that's someone definitely to look out for coming into this game.
That's what Texas State defense is queuing in on. For the Texas State offense, this is the guy that you need to watch out for, Jacob. Alan Pittman, senior linebacker, 5'11", so he's only a few inches taller than you are.
Nice.
28 total tackles on the season. He was second team All-Southland 2 years in a row. And the thing is, coming into this game, Nicholls State goes 2-1 in their first 3 games. They beat Stephen F. Austin 48-30. So this is a high-scoring offense, like you mentioned, but their defense, I think, has some holes in it.
Yeah.
This is the type of defense I think Jake Spavital can kind of punch through and make something happen.
Yeah. And also, going back to the Georgia State game, what has always been the criticism of Texas State's team is that we've neglected to establish the run game in the past 3 years. It finally happened against Georgia State, and it was not with our number 1 guy, Anthony D. Taylor. It was with Caleb Twyford, who had 139 all-purpose yards. It's pretty impressive.
Which is the offensive player that I am highlighting in this little deal. Twyford has shown up and shown out. He looks legit. He looks like a number 1 type of running back for the Texas State offense. Coming into the year, I know a lot of people thought Anthony D. Taylor was going to be the guy. They thought he was going to get 25 touches a game. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. It looks like it's now more of a running back by committee. And 4 yards per carry, not terrible. I think that Texas State needs to establish a run, and I think that what they're going to do is establish a run in this game to let Gresh Jensen set up the play-action pass, to set up the short game, the short passing game at least.
And he was able to do that too against Georgia State. Also, he threw 16 for 25, around 64% completion rate. So he's pretty effective on the air. He just needs more protection all around and the ability to be spread into that offense so he can just take off.
And on the defensive side, you might think I'm talking about Brian London, but he did break a school record, 22 tackles, Georgia State game, but I'm going to talk about Nick Daniels a little bit. So Nick is over here. He's kind of the Brian London without the headlines. So in the Wyoming game, both him and London had double-digit tackles at 11. He was 25. He had 22 tackles to London's 25 going into the Georgia State game, and he also had his first sack of the season in the Georgia State game. So he's at 31 tackles this season so far. He's a good one to look out for.
Honestly, him and London both, and Frankie Griffin too, that is a trio that has made Texas State's defense. I know this isn't like a hot take or anything for people that live in San Marcos. For those that are outside the 78666, they might be surprised by saying this. They might have a top defense in the state. And I'm not talking just G5, I'm talking TCU, Texas, A&M. This defense is legit. Now, the offense hasn't bailed them out. The offense has kind of left them out to dry a couple times. But this defense, I'm telling you right now, guys, is going to be the thing that is going to win us at games in conference play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that just plays crucially down the stretch too when we start getting away from, we're just not going to have 3 back-to-back homes anymore, you know?
No.
So, just makes sense.
So in the paper, came out this week, we all did our predictions. What do you got going?
I have Texas State taking this one. Hopefully, I'm over Claire.
Not gonna happen. I also have Texas State. And don't we have the same record don't we have the same picks this week or no?
That's on you. I made my picks first.
Oh, hey,
All three of us
hey,
have the same
hey,
picks.
hey.
I got Texas State winning this game. I'm going to give a score. I'm going to go 38-27 Texas State.
38-27.
38-27
Texas State. This is the game that Texas State's offense gets off the ground. This is the game that, a lot of parents are going to be at. Fans should be at the game from start to finish. I don't think it's going to 3 overtimes. I'm just saying. We didn't call it last week. This week I'm saying it's not going to go overtime. They're going
No
to
overtime.
They're going to legitimately win this game in a back and forth battle.
So
Well,
you,
I don't think anybody expected it to go into overtime, nor wanted it to go into overtime, frankly. I don't know if we had enough fireworks to go off.
This week, my sources say that the athletic department has the fireworks jacked up. They're ready to
they
go.
stocked up.
Oh yeah, they're jacked
right.
up
You got
on
the
fireworks.
fireworks guy in the
Oh
inside?
yeah, I got the fireworks.
You got the
inside.
inside scoop.
Hey, you don't be the prez by just putting on the crown.
You're right.
You got it.
You're
Got
right.
it. Network. Got to talk to some people.
Presidents don't have crowds.
Just saying. I'm killing the game. What can I say?
Dictatorship, not president.
All right, sweet. We'll see you next week. Deep in the heart of Tailgate. This is week 5.